two-person sports department. So my main responsibilities are producing and anchoring a newscast at 6 and 11, Monday through Friday, and overseeing special projects like Football Frenzy, which is a 20-minute show we do during the football season, bowl trips for West Virginia or Marshall, and spring training trips, and just putting together proposals and seeing them through and following them through either as a producer or as an anchor. I've been the sports director at WTAP since 1984. I actually started at WTAP in 1976, right out of college, in production because they didn't have any openings in the news department. And I actually, in 2 short years, I actually moved to the head of production because there was a lot of, they just kept on getting bumped up because all the older guys were leaving. And then I begged and pleaded with the program director and the general manager to be able to do sports on the weekend because we didn't have any. We had a shortened newscast but no sports, and I finally prevailed, and I was terrible, but they let me do it anyway. And then I would help out with the sports director, who was Randy Green, and then when he left, I got the sports director's job, and I was still ahead of production. I did that for about a year, and then wisely they said, Jim, you can't do both of them, just pick one and we'll fill the other. And so I picked the sports director because that seemed like fun. And I enjoyed it. Think about it, the best classes I had were in high school, typing class, and Father Arkell's, I went to Parkersburg Catholic, Father Arkell's English class. Went to Marshall and studied communication, and the speech class there was very important, and public speaking, and just the broadcast journalism classes there. I didn't graduate. I was a year shy of my graduation. I always promised I'd go back and do it, but I haven't done it. But and my experience there with the closed circuit television station and the people there that were actually television pioneers, you know, Dean Sturm and Dorothy Johnson and her husband. So that was kind of, they gave me the background. Then I came here and I worked with TV pioneers here, Glenn Wilson, and he was a very good friend of mine, and he always gave me good advice, like quit here and go back to school. But I'm having too much fun. But yeah, so it was certain classes helped both on the high school level and the college level, really helped me. Meaningful, my favorite aspect is if you're out there, I love going to the games, and I love getting a good highlight or a highlight that nobody can see. And I love the fact that now with the internet, that somebody's grandparent in Oklahoma can tune in either live or download and see their kid. I love to see accomplishment. I really love we do a lot of athlete signings.
Did mine.
And I love that because it's a happy moment in the kids' lives, and it's a positive story that people say, there's, nothing positive, to talk about the football players getting arrested or stuff like that. But I love doing those twofold. It's a happy occasion for the athlete, and also I'd like to think that maybe somebody's sitting at home, a kid, middle school or grade school kid, thinking, well, geez, maybe I can do that. Maybe I could play basketball or go to college or do this, Obstacle in covering it was the one camera. But I've been blessed that, if I come up with a proposal and I can put it down on paper and articulate it, why it's going to work and show that it will be economical, they've been pretty much, they pretty much let me want to do. The really thing when we went from being when I first got here, we were like, it was one station owned by 10 people, and you had to have all 10 owners to agree before they would spend any money to do anything. Well, Sherman Grimm was one of those owners, and you could only sell internally, so he wound up with all buying it from everybody, and he had vision, and he saw that one mom and pop TV stations aren't going to do it. You have to have an infusion of outside money. So we got outside investors and sold it. We became a bigger station, and we took on more and more people in the news department. And, it was before it would just be a handful of people. Now we've got 15 or 20 people working in the news department. And on a Friday night, now starting this year, everybody got their own cameras. Before we'd have like 10 or 15 people, and you have like 5 or 6 cameras, and usually one was busted, but they got everybody, their own set of gear, their own camera, their own battery chargers, or everything. So it's like on Friday night, I go, it's like, don't have to send one person with one camera to 2 games. I can send all sorts of people out. Mm-hmm. And just the advent of the technology of going from videotape to data, and everything's much more quicker and more easier to get done than it used to be. It used to be long, tedious, laborious. We'd have a stack of tapes like this, and we'd have to run them to the control room. So, yeah. We've got the WVU press conference, so they're on a roll. So I've got some, I was back there carving up some Coach Holgerson sound. Also Tuesdays we do our Student Athlete of the Week feature, and Aaron's done that, and he's actually at St. Mary's getting some football preview sound with the players, because we did it Sunday at the SSAC meetings. Mm-hmm. And so today I'm going to do WVU football. They also announced their schedule for next season, so I'll do the high points of that. They've got they'll be taking on Missouri coming in from the SEC, and they'll be playing BYU over in Baltimore. And then I go out of that to the local high school stuff, St. Mary's, back to the semifinals, second year in a row. Talked to a couple of their seniors about the experience, last year and this year. And then go out of that into the student athlete package. Coming out of that, Marshall's playing basketball tonight at Moorhead. I'll do a preview on that. Then I'll run highlights of the Mountaineer basketball game last night, recap of that, and get a shot from Coach Huggins, and that'll pretty much be 4 minutes. Mm-hmm. I get 4 minutes, which is a lot. When I first started, it was it's kind of hard to explain. Mm-hmm. When I first started, the sportscast might be like, good evening, everyone. The Parkersburg South Patriots beat the Parkersburg High in the Crosstown Showdown by the score of 71-61. Then they'd show a score, and that would be it. Because when I first started, they didn't shoot sports highlights because it was a film camera and we couldn't get it developed. But now you say, okay, Crosstown Showdown, first meeting of the season between the Parkersburg South Patriots and the Parkersburg Big Reds. You do a setup, and then you do the highlights, and you don't say who won until the very end. And you say, and this is a game-winning basket, or the Patriots went on to win it. And now it's with everything. It's a give them a setup, a storyline, a theme, and then show the highlights. But don't let them know the outcome, even though they probably know the outcome. But that's the way you do it. Even on ESPN, the game that has just been on ESPN, you go to Sports Center, and they'll do the same thing. They won't say, well, you just saw, Nebraska beat Oklahoma. They say, no, the Red River Shootout or whatever. And this is, so that's the big difference, where it used to be just lay down the facts. Now it's more like telling a story, and then it used to be a form of communication. Might not always be broadcast television. It'd be, who knows, WTAP might be gone in 15 or 20 years, but there'll be a WTAP.com, and it'll be all, and same with the newspapers, like the News and Sentinel, like 10 years, you won't be able to get a hard copy, but there'll be a website. But there'll always be a place where somebody will be looking for information or a story or some video. So, yeah, I would recommend it. It has taught me that there are some wonderful people out there, and that there are some not so wonderful people out there. And it's taught me that don't make snap judgments about, don't be dismissive of people based on first impressions, and listen to their point of view. And in our line of work, more in the news line of work, you're going to have people lie to you, and they've got their own reasons for that. But not to get jaded, I guess, and to be quick to dismiss, or once somebody's done you wrong to, ban them. Like, I've had coaches that won't call in the scores when the team loses and stuff like that. Mm-hmm. And, I don't go on a war saying, well, that's it. No more coverage of so-and-so, I don't know.